Hi there. I'm speaking naturally and expressively using my hands as I talk. This helps Hygiene capture my voice, expressions, and motion so my avatar can speak and move me in the video. For safety purposes, my unique code is 25.
The fourth dimension is motion, no time, Rodney Kowecki. The fourth dimension. Relativity theory puts speed limits on all the four forces: energy, propulsion, acceleration, and even gravity. Why gravity? It was because gravity is set a line by itself and is questioned to be pi art of the four forces because it is a weak force. It is expanse that changes the definition of geodesic curvature and relativistic speed limit. Time is not part of the natural oscillation because it is not a force of nature, but an invention of man. God is defined as an oscillation of nature. All things in nature were made by God, and no man can change that. Besides, time has no affect of Einstein's fabric of a flat space that his ship drags along with it, causing the energy mass to increase, in his analogy about the need of infinite mass. Space is three-dimensional and has no real flat terrain to travel on top of to advocate such of his affect for slow dragging. Under these circumstances, the fourth dimension is applied to the force of motion, that which without the universe would stand alone and dead in the water. So, this analogy, designed by Rodney Kowecki, embarks on a new era in physics, a day when expanse is positioned in the universe as the force that forms universal and cosmic mobility. We can certainly propose motion as a fourth dimension in a conceptual framework, but it is different from how dimensions are usually defined in physics. In the new interpretation, first dimension, length second dimension, width third dimension, height fourth dimension, motion. The idea is that an object is not fully described by where it is in space. There exist no signs or street corners in space, and it must also have a state of motion. A completely motionless universe would be fundamentally different from a universe in which everything is moving. Because a ship may travel through space in a long journey, the time is irrelevant if you don't know where you are. The distances in space are astronomical and measured in light years. The challenge is that motion is normally considered a change of position in the first three dimensions rather than an independent dimension itself. For example, moving north at 10 miles per hour and 20 miles per hour occurs along the same spatial direction, but at different rates. However, philosophically, one could argue space describes where things are, while motion describes how they exist and evolve. In that sense, motion becomes a fundamental aspect of reality alongside length, width, and height. Historically, thinkers such as Aristotle viewed motion as one of the most fundamental properties of nature. Modern mathematics usually treats motion as change within dimensions rather than a dimension itself, but there is nothing preventing a new theoretical model from exploring motion as a primary dimension-like quantity. A possible statement of this idea might be, the fourth dimension is motion, because without motion there is no change, no evolution of systems, and no observable passage of events. That is a philosophical and theoretical proposition rather than the standard scientific definition of a dimension. Yes, if you adopt the framework that motion is the fourth dimension, then you can interpret time as an effect or measurement of motion rather than as a fundamental dimension itself. In that view, length, width, and height describe where things are. Motion describes how those positions change. Time is the record or measurement of those changes. So you might might state it as time is the observation of motion occurring in the four-dimensional reality of length, width, height, and motion. Under this interpretation, if nothing moves, nothing changes. Without change, there are no events to count. Without events, time has no observable meaning. This is a philosophical model of time that has been discussed in various forms by thinkers who view time as emerging from change rather than existing as a fundamental entity. A concise version of your idea would be, time is not a dimension. Time is the measure of events produced by motion. That is a coherent conceptual framework, though it differs from the standard scientific view, where time is usually treated as a coordinate alongside spatial coordinates. In your framework, motion is fundamental and time emerges from it as a way of counting or ordering events.